I wonder, Stacy, then to think about, you can't do too much to change the space of the museum physically, but you can change the way we talk about ourselves.
Yeah.
And so I wonder if you can kind of speak to that in regards to what Carrie's saying.
Yeah, no, that's a good question. So we've been working really hard in the last, I would say, 6 months to a year to start communicating what the brand stands for, what the Field Museum does every day, because I feel like there's a disconnect there. We worked with Leo Burnett as our advertising agency, and we did a tour and brought them in, and the majority of the folks on the team were from Chicago area, and they had no idea what was taking place. We did a Chicago Ideas Week today to talk about specimens, and I see a few familiar faces, and it was the same thing. We went into our collections, we had some of our scientists talk about it, and they had no idea that we're so active and dynamic every day. So we've been trying to figure out, yes, it's about the museum. The museum drives, getting people to the museum drives, the attendance and revenue for us, and we can take that revenue and fold it back into other things. So the visitor experience is especially important to us, and making it a great experience to make sure people come back more often. We do struggle with people come one time and then it's 5 years later. So making sure that they feel that it's active enough. The other piece of it is we want people to participate with us. So I don't know if people are familiar with the March for Science that took place. Yep. So we ended up as a team saying, gosh, this is so aligned with our mission and where we're heading as far as being leaning forward, thinking about the future. Everything we do is about, with the scientific discoveries, is about defining life so that we can make it, improve it going forward. There was just recently, we're looking at our bird collection and sit on the birds to define that climate change is real and these things are happening. So our challenge is, and programs like this help us to not only explain what the Field Museum does, but invite people along. We want people to participate with us. And it's growing right now. That's part of my job, is to get out there with some sort of brand campaign overall and say, here's where the Field Museum is, here's what some new news is along the way, work with NOAA as far as adult programming. If people aren't coming to the museum, let's go out and meet people other places, let them meet our scientists, so that hopefully we create Field Museum fans, and then that helps carry the momentum forward.
So I just wondered to even give you a more specific question, what, like in the basic words, what are you trying to shift? So what have you moved towards in the sort of the grammar of the museum? What's been that shift?
Yeah, that's fair. So I have this presentation that I go through of changing perceptions to reality of what's really taking place. So did I say something incorrectly? So there's this idea, I think I mentioned, like old, dusty, stagnant, and then flipping it and letting people know that we're really active and dynamic. And that's in the words we even chose for our mission statement of, we're fueling a journey of discovery. It's moving forward. It's in the way that we even approach language around, like everyone in the department or across the Field Museum has been challenged to say, okay, we have our new mission statement, we have new brand values. How are you going to take those brand values and act differently? So how are you going to be more vocal about the scientific work that you're doing and getting it out there so the general public knows? What am I going to do differently? Like my big charge is working with HR. So when new employees come on board, like what are we communicating about the brand? So they're like, yes, I want to participate with that. Even to the point when we're doing, hiring, putting out in our, our job descriptions of what's taking place, so people know what they're actually joining on for. Does that answer your question? Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but it's a shift that it's not just about the brand. This is what I've been communicating around the museum. It's not just an advertising campaign or like a logo. What it is really about behavior, and how are you going to take that mission statement and brand positioning values and change your behavior going forward, so we're all going in the same direction.
it's a culture shift.
It's a culture shift, and we're coming upon our 125th anniversary. Museums, I don't know, I'm new to the museum sector. I come from the advertising agency background, but in an advertising agency background, you have to collaborate to survive. Like, you work with all different types of people and interact. And in a museum in the past, it's been more siloed. So people are they're doing things right, but they don't necessarily think about doing things across the board to make it a bigger effort. And that's where we're at right now, but the momentum's going, and Gary can speak to from the scientific side of how those things work.
Well, people like me, especially if you've been around the block as long as I have, are used to speaking in front of a classroom or in front of an audience, and that is not always an effective way to communicate. But that's the way that, through experience, I kind of learned how to communicate. And so I need sometimes help from people in other parts of the museum to translate what I have learned through the discoveries that I actually have made, and how to translate that in a way that the broader public can understand and maybe draw some useful inspirations and ideas from. And I think that in the 18 years that I've been at the field, we haven't always done that as well as perhaps we could have. But now I also am optimistic that we are working harder together to try to play that broader communication role.
I'll be the first to step up to the mic here, see if we can't get this started. So, first off, I wanted to say, you talked about a culture shift, and just wanted to encourage you, been at the Field Museum 2 years, and a culture shift a lot of times takes a long time to develop, so I encourage you to, stay the course and keep going with that, and don't get scared off and run away from it. But I think this question might be more for Noah, but it seems to me the Field Museum is very successful with attracting families to the museum, and then maybe also, I hope this is not an age discrimination thing, but the older kind of population, in that one of the things that it is missing is where are the young couples coming in there, where are the friends bringing their friends in there, and the young adult activities that
where
you're
are
working on, right? Like, so, not where are you, but I'm curious, what are the plans, and what do you have in store to help bring across that culture shift that we're talking about here?
I'm just supposed to be the moderator.
Well, anybody can answer, but I feel like you might be best posed to answer that question.
That's probably true. My job is literally to do that, so I don't want to bust in too much on this conversation, but yeah, I mean, we're working on it. I think one of the things that the communications team realized before I got here is that we are missing that segment of the population. That's why we're doing things like this, to sort of figure out ways to get you guys engaged in what we're up to bring really intelligent people out in front of you to talk about the amazing things that we do. I have big plans, and I'm kind of working on figuring out ways we can push out into the community more, to go outside the museum, but also to figure out ways to bring people back. So, the coasters are an example of that. If you guys all show up at the museum and turn in your coasters, then I know that, well, we have a really good way to bring people back into the museum. If none of you do, then I know that's a failed marketing ploy. And I did that. That was that was an idea that was run through Stacy and Annie, who are our marketing team. It was very much in collaboration with them. But it's just funny. I collaborated with both these lovely people on this space. Gary gave me the basis for that mural, and Stacy gave me the freedom to try and coerce you to come into the museum. So it's very much our plan, and frankly, the plan of museums and nonprofits everywhere, to figure out ways to reignite the passion that folks like you and folks like me, frankly, had when we were younger for the natural sciences. Part of that is getting these folks kind of in front of you.
I would like to chime in too. So We do audience insight research exit survey, and so we actually do capture young adults and families and older people. The problem with museums that we know at this across the board too is the hours aren't ideal, right? So you can't come between 9 and 5 because most people are working. So that leaves you the weekend, and then we're competing, like I said before, against not only other museums, but all the activities in the city. So I think part of Noah's charge too is to get out there where people are so that we can tell them more about the Field Museum in hopes that they will come back or come visit. But it's hard. It's just hard with hours and time and everything else. But we do know who's coming to the museum and who's not. And that's, I think, the first step of then being able to segment marketing messages to them and hopefully tap into something that's appealing. So.
I think I've noticed that as somebody's been there a while that I've done a lot more programming where I'm interacting with people, not giving a lecture or something, but actually leading a discussion or giving a very short talk and then having questions after. In the last year at the museum and outside the museum than I had done previously. So hopefully with more, like we have a group that is interested in beer. We have a relationship with a off-color brewery, and so they make novel beers. And when they premiere those beers, one of which I happen to be involved with, then the museum has a program.
Could you send me those nights?
The beer is delicious. It's on tap at the museum.
Great.
It's like 9% alcohol, so you really can't have more than one, but good God, is it great.
They have one that's there all the time, which is sort of tooth and claw named after sort of Sue and has Sue in the label. But then we've had two special beers, one of which inspired by my colleague Ryan Williams, who works in Peru, and it's purple and is a corn-based beer. And then this year they premiered a Chinese-inspired beer with rice, fermented rice in the recipe. So that was available this summer and fall.
Thank you. I wish you guys luck with that.